about a year and a half after the fire. You can see clearly a lot of things resprouting.
In the Great Smoky Mountains, the fluorescent green of new growth gives the blackened earth a refreshing recovery. After ferocious winds fanned flames across 10,000 acres of the park in November 2016.
This trail is a really great place to see, what the forest looks like after the fire in the majority of the area that burned.
Fire ecologist Rob Klein with the National Park Service says the fire moved fast and most of it burned fast, without smoldering too deep into the ground.
70% of the wildfire, the forest is only lightly affected and it's going to recover really quickly. So some of the trees do have char on the base of the tree, but what you also see is the resprouting. For a lot of people, in just a couple of years, it'll be hard to tell that an area like this burned. Fires have been really important throughout the southern Appalachians for thousands of years. Most of the species that live in this forest have the ability to resprout following a disturbance like fire.
And some species not only adapted to survive the flames, they grew to rely on them.
It's one of the more interesting stories about this fire, the regeneration of those species that are dependent on fire. In this area, it burned much more severely. As you look up into the trees, you can start to see some of the cones of the Table Mountain pine. Yeah, these trees have developed a unique adaptation with the expectation that there would be fire occurring on a regular basis. These are the cones. They're sealed shut with resin, and they stay in the tree for 10, 20 years, sealed shut. The heat from the fire causes that resin to melt and break down. The cones open up, the seeds start to fall out. The tree has an opportunity to survive that wildfire by reproducing. And that's the strategy of the Table Mountain pine.
The fire opens the ground to sunlight for seeds to spin down and take root.
So they're really adapted to the specific habitat that's created by the wildfire. And there's actually been some concern about these trees over the longer term just due to the lack of fire. We actually started to see them germinating within about 3 or 4 months after the wildfire.
And now hundreds of Table Mountain pine seedlings grow bright green on the fire-scarred ridges of the Smokies.
And you can see how tall they've grown in just over a year and a half. It's going to be an unbelievable transformation over the next 5 to 10 years, and it's going to become a very dense thicket of pine. It says a lot about the tenacity of the plants and trees that live in this area.
All this growth came from a painful experience. Klein says he hopes to learn from it all, with a refresher and a chance to grow with the forest.
We've been putting fires out for a really long time, and we've lost a lot of that knowledge of how they actually operate on this landscape. It gives us an opportunity to kind of relearn some of those lessons so that we can be better prepared for the next time it occurs.
In the Great Smoky Mountains, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.